What a joyful noise it is to hear our children leaving. And I don't mean that in a facetious way. There's like a certain quiet that settles over the church, right? But also, like, I love it. They're gonna go right now, and they're gonna go learn a wonderful lesson. They're actually gonna learn about the moral argument today. Raise your hand if you know what the moral argument is. Right? Like, not a lot of us, but our kids, they're gonna go learn that right now because we're doing this whole bit on apologetics right now, and we're learning the arguments for God's existence. So pray for them. Pray for them. Pray for their teachers as they're teaching it. Like, that's big stuff. All that to say, welcome. My name is Anna, and I'm the children's pastor here today, and I get to bring you the word this morning. And it's a burden, so to speak, but also it's a joy. Like, it's heavy on my mind because there's so incredibly much that I want to say that even this morning during my Bible reading, God was still like, here's something else to throw in there. So it's a really full morning. I'm so blessed to be up here and to be able to speak with you guys. I want to start by praying. So I want to invite you guys to pray with me. Pray for me. Pray for this church service. Pray for our kids as they're learning. But join me in praying. I'm going to give you guys just like a 5-second head start. God, we just praise you this morning. We thank you for who you are and the ways that you meet us, God. We thank you for the wonderful joy that you bring us, and it's not always easy. It's not always easy to be here or to come here, but God, thank you so much for the people who are here. Thank you for meeting us here. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak to our church body, and God, more than anything else, thank you for speaking to me. Lord, I just pray that you would just move in this service today, move in our hearts, break our walls down. Help us to find you on a deeper level, Lord. Bless our kids as they're learning. Let those things sink deep into their hearts as these things sink deep into our hearts, God. I thank you for all these things, Lord, and I praise you for all of them. Bless this day, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so this morning we're going to talk about the idea of lost to located. And I love these, you might notice, I love these swings, and I love to talk about them. And so this one was just heavy on my heart, and so here we are. We get to speak about it. And I wanted to start by just illustrating some things. How many of you have ever been lost, even just for a moment, as a child, as an adult, in traffic, in nature? You've just been lost. And that feeling of, oh, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's scary. And how many of you you've ever been falling, and you have like that, it's like time slows down and you have this realization that like you can't stop this and you're going all the way to the ground. Like, raise your hand if you've ever had that moment, right? And those things are scary and disorienting. Or if you've ever been in any body of water and you've gotten tumbled around and you feel like you're about to drown and you don't know which way is up, right? Like, I've experienced all three of those. And all of them, I realize, they leave you with this feeling, this awareness suddenly of gravity, of oxygen, of the vastness of the world. You are just suddenly aware. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been like terrified of those moments. They're scary, scary things. In fact, just the other day, my son and I were playing, and if you've ever been to my house, I have a really tall kitchen table. Like, my kitchen chairs, they're like up to here, so you gotta like get in them. But I was playing with him, and I was, pushing him away with my feet, and he grabbed both my feet and pulled. And the chairs started to go, and literally, I had that moment, like everything slowed down, and all I could yell was, "Stop, stop, this is dangerous, stop," because I knew I'm going to the ground. I can see it. I can feel it already, like my back on the back of the chair, the head. And I was aware of this moment of I have no control over my body in between here and here. There's nothing. And that was scary, but that's that feeling of being lost. And whether we realize it or not, we feel that in life too. Sometimes we're aware of it, sometimes we're not. If you've had a coming to Christ moment, you've probably been aware of it and you've probably worked through it and you've been found in that moment, right? Most of us in this room have had that moment of being found, but if you can think back to before, it's almost like you lived in a dim light. Like in the graphic on this thing, I picked it because it's just a tiny little candle on a black screen, but it lights everything up and you can see it and it's illuminated. And sometimes when you're lost, it's like you're in that moment of darkness, but then you can see the light. And then once you're found, you're in this bright space. Things change. Sorry, my allergies are making my nose run right now. I'm sorry. But that moment of feeling lost, sometimes even in your lostness, sometimes you do realize it, and sometimes you can be found again. Other times, you're stubborn, and you feel your heart just like, nope, I'm just marching off into the wilderness. Doesn't matter. I think this is the right way. Even if somebody says, no, I think it's that way, you're like, nope, because you just get scared and you react, right? Have you ever had that moment where you're like, nope, I'm just marching down the wrong path. I'm going the way that I think that I'm going because I think it's right. I've had that moment too. I'm very stubborn if you have not had any time to get to know me. Welcome to our church. Welcome to our church. We are a staff of stubborn people. See? So, there's 4 things that I wanted to share with you today, and they're not exhaustive. And the verses that I picked that go with them, they're not even exhaustive. There's just so much to this. I couldn't even spend enough time picking it all apart. But I wanted to just share with you what God's been challenging me with. So I've been challenged in these ideas of lostness, and I've been challenged with these verses, and I've been challenged with being found in these places. So the first one is lost in brokenness, right? Every single one of us has been lost in brokenness. This idea of being lost in brokenness is the idea that you don't know. You don't know Christ. You don't know salvation. You don't know the word. Maybe you were an adult floundering through the world. Maybe you were a young kid when you found the Lord. Good for you. Fantastic. But at some point, all of us were lost in brokenness and had to make that choice to be found. But lost in brokenness, it looks like, for me sometimes, it looks like it's too hard to change. Like, I think I told you guys one time I read this book, and it was like Emotionally Healthy Leadership. And I started reading it, and I was, as we say now, triggered. I just realized, like, oh my gosh, all my brokenness was so exposed in it, and I just thought, way too hard, can't do this. Literally shut the book and put it back on the shelf. Like, I'm not ready to be emotionally mature right now. And that is one of those things of lost and brokenness. And sometimes we're just comfortable in our brokenness, right? Have you ever had that moment? You don't have to raise your hand, but I'm sure each of us have had those moments where we're just comfortable in our brokenness. Don't want to change. It's kind of nice and cozy over here. You know, it's like a child who's dirty. You're like, go take a bath. And you're like, I don't want to. We're like, you smell. Well, that's okay. I just don't care. You know, we are kind of that child sometimes. We're like, yeah, I don't really care that I'm dirty. Don't really care that I'm broken. I just want to stay here. It's too hard, or just don't want to. It's, kind of summed it up as like a hard heart, closed eyes. Because the Bible uses these words to describe us sometimes of hardheartedness, having our eyes closed, our ears shut, right? And whenever I read those passages that say that, even if they're not speaking of me, I know that they're speaking of me because I'm challenged by them. And I get to be reflective enough, hopefully sometimes, where I can figure out what are those things for me? Where is my heart right now? Sometimes I feel it, and sometimes even when I feel it, I'm like, I don't care. Bye. I'm going towards my brokenness. I'm marching off into my lost status because I don't want to change. I don't want to do anything differently. But from the beginning to the end, the Bible is telling us that God is trying to find us, that we are meant to find him. We've been lost from the very beginning. But the entire Bible is just account after account, even in the most boring parts of the history of the Bible or whatever. It's all God revealing to us how we don't have to be lost in our brokenness. We can actually become located, and located in reconciliation, right? So we don't have to stay there. And I picked this verse, and this is just a verse. It's not the end-all, be-all. There are tons of verses that speak to this, but I picked this one in Romans 8:2. It says, because through Christ Jesus, the law of the Spirit who gives life has set you free from the law of sin and death. See, sometimes we're lost in our brokenness, but we can choose to be located in reconciliation. And that is made possible because of Jesus' sacrifice, because he freed us from the laws of sin and death. And so before we leave this, I hope that you are thinking of okay, where are my broken pieces? Where am I lost in my brokenness? And where can I turn from that and find reconciliation? Find those moments and grab onto them. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is lost in self, right? This one's hard for me. Sometimes I get lost in myself. I get lost in my pride, in my arrogance. Sometimes I get lost in my perceived intelligence. It's this idea of a me-first attitude, right? Have you ever had a me-first attitude? I know I have. We talked about, in Bible study this past Wednesday, we talked about some of the things, and some of them played into this idea of what I was thinking about today. And one of the verses that came up that someone was sharing was why not rather be wronged? And I like that verse. It's very challenging. And yesterday I was at lunch, and we got our order, and my food just wasn't there. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Guess I won't eat. But I was hot and tired and grumpy and lost in myself. And I was like, well, whatever. And then come to find out, somebody else's lunch was not quite right. And I was like, you know what? You should just tell them that is not right, and they need to fix it. And to our credit, they did fix. I did get lunch. Don't worry, it was fed yesterday. But I was like, you should tell them that the food was wrong. And then instantly I was like, or maybe not. Whatever. It just kind of blew it off. But in my head and my heart, I was having this moment of well, what does it matter? What does it matter? And I loved it. The person that we were eating with, was like, well, whatever. I like food. I'll eat it. They were whatever. I don't care that it was wrong. It looks delicious. I don't mind eating this. But I was just so lost in myself in that moment that I was like, no, you should tell them that's bad customer service. And was convicted by it. Sometimes we get lost in ourself, in our pleasure, I just want to do this thing because I just want to. It just feels good. I want to watch that TV show. I want to wear that, or I want to talk that way. I don't know. Maybe those things don't apply to you guys. I often get in trouble for things that I say. That's just me. But I am working on it, and those are those little moments of being lost in myself that I'm convicted, right? I have another friend. Another way that I would say like lost in self is like if I acknowledge God, then I have to change, right? Have you ever had that moment where you're like, God is telling me this, but if I acknowledge it, that means that I have to be in this camp over here. And I kind of like this camp over here. I've built it up in such a way. And that is hard. I was having lunch with a different friend, and we were talking about life, and they kind of left the church, and it's hard, and it's a hard situation, and my heart hurts for that. And I'm trying to be supportive of my friend, but also like, you should be in church. Like, you should be with your church family. You should be supported by us. Like, all of these feelings. And what it came down to is basically my friend just said, like, yeah, God and I, we're not talking right now. I'm basically just pretending that God doesn't exist because I want to do these things. I want to live like this. And what do you say to that? I was like, yeah, but She's like, I know. It's like I just like rolled the window up on God. Like, I just don't want to talk to you right now. I'm actually going to put like a really dark tint on the window. I don't want to hear, like, it's soundproof. I don't want to hear what you're saying. And in those moments, I'm like, you're just, like, for me, I'm like, you're just lost. And they hurt my heart so much, right? And I'm sure we all have those moments where you can look back and you can say, I was lost in myself. I have another friend who, he is a great guy. Like talking to him. We have very great conversations. Doesn't believe in God. He's like, nope, that's stupid. Does not believe in God. He's like, nope, believe in science and astrophysics and all this really heady stuff. And I'm like, great, we do too. He just hasn't made that connection yet. Like it's like he is blind and he can't hear and his heart is hard, right? And sometimes when I'm talking with people and I would never say this to a person that doesn't believe out loud in harsh terms, but I'd be like, you just don't want to admit that God exists because you don't want to change. And I feel like sometimes, even as Christians, that's us. Sometimes we have moments and things in our life where we're like, I just don't want to admit that, God, you rule this part of my life because I still want to rule it, right? So we move from lost in self to located in God, right? That is the goal. We're trying to move to being located in God. And this verse, it says, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, which we all are, belief or not, we're loved by God. He wants each and every one of us. It says, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Because when you're located in God and you're not lost in yourself, you should be reflecting these attributes, right? We should be compassionate and kind, gentle. We should have patience. Self-control is also in a list in the Bible, right? These things that when we choose to be lost in ourselves, we're on the opposite end of that. And our goal in Christianity is to move more and more to being located in God. That we reflect these things so that as Christians, we can say, hey, as God's chosen people, I'm compassionate, I'm kind, I'm gentle, I'm humble, I have self-control, I have patience. I don't know about you guys, I struggle with some of those, but I am working on it. I'm actively trying to make changes in my life and let God soften my heart in those places. And it takes praying for that. It takes reading your Bible and understanding who God is in order to be located in God, right? We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about is lost in culture. Oh my gosh. This I feel like is huge right now. Lost in culture. See, culture is out there and it's telling us so many different things. And our kids, oh my gosh, my son is 1 year away from middle school and I'm terrified. We have several kids in our church that are going to high school next year who have somehow survived middle school. And I'm terrified for them because I get glimpses of what culture is telling our kids, the things that it says. Yikes, like if that doesn't fill you with some kind of dread, man, I don't know, maybe you need to stop watching so many scary movies, I don't know. But this idea of being lost in culture is the idea of buying into what culture is telling us, not thinking biblically, not using the Bible to navigate the world, to inform what we think or feel about different topics. I mean, we're so politically divided on things, and that's rough because I feel like the Bible is fairly clear. I feel like church communities, and especially this one, I can't praise it enough. We're really good at having good discussions where we can disagree, where we can talk about different things, where we can grow together. There's so many different things. I was talking to a friend one time, and it's just funny. He has his ideas, I have my ideas, and he was like, man, you're such a good person. And I was literally like, nope. He's like, yeah, you are. I was like, oh no, I know me. You see my facade, but I know me. I know what's in my heart and what's in my head. I know my brokenness. And I know that's, literally said to him, I know that's why I need Jesus, because I can't fix any of these things in me by myself. I needed Jesus to come in and fix these things for me. And he was like, no, that's silly. You're a good person. Why are you saying that? And he was like, stop saying that. You're a good person. And I was like, no. And I'm sad for you that you don't understand and see your own brokenness, that you don't see your own need for a Savior, and that you think you can fix you? How's that working out for you? You know, and he's like, wow, my life is great. I live however I want to live. And I'm like, I get that. Sounds, I don't know, it doesn't sound as fun to me, but there's so many things out there, so many cultural ideas, right? We're not thinking biblically. There's so many slogans out there. Oh my gosh. My daughter, Cammie, she really struggles sometimes with those things. She'll see somebody doing something and she's like, I don't get it, Mom. Why are they doing that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not their parent. Or I don't know. I don't get to decide how they live. I can't hold them to our biblical standard. I don't know where they live. I don't know what they believe or what they don't believe yet. So I don't know, Bug. I can't. They just don't get it. They're lost, and she just really has a hard time of like, why do they get to do that? She saw a little girl the other day who's wearing she was going to sports stuff, so it made sense. She was wearing, a crop top or whatever, so she could move like gymnastics or whatever. My daughter was like, Mom, why is she wearing a crop top? I was like, I don't know. I'm not her parent. I don't get to make decisions for her and how she grows up. I just get to parent you. And I'm going to do the best that I can to make decisions for you, and I'm glad that you see that and are not like, oh man, I wish I had a crop top. Like those things. And her and I and my kids try to have really good discussions with them. Whenever we go places and we hear random things, I like to ask them about, and just being able to talk with her about these ideas. There was another one that I wish I could remember, just other conversations that I've had with my kids or with other people's kids. Unbiblical ideas like, oh, all paths lead to heaven. God just wants us to be happy. I've asked my kids that before. I'll joke with them. I'd be like, so we're just going to go do this. And they're like, we're not supposed to do that. I'm like, yeah, God just wants us to be happy. And they're like, no, we're not supposed to do that, because I like to mess with my kids and, just be naughty sometimes. But I like to talk with them about these things. The idea of like, you're perfect just the way you are. Right? Raise your hand if you've ever had somebody tell you, you're perfect just the way you are. Okay, for me, I always say, oh no, I am not. Did you hear the way that I yelled at my husband earlier, or my kids? I hope you didn't hear the way that I yelled at my kids earlier. Like, I know I'm not perfect, but these unbiblical ideas and the way that they're out there, that people are just like, yeah, you're perfect just the way you are. You don't need to change. You do you. In fact, we were talking about that just this morning. You do you. And I was like, yeah, only you. Do only you. Don't influence anybody else. And Thomas was joking. He was like, yeah, and if you don't agree with me, you're the problem. And we're not friends anymore. In fact, I'm going to report you to social media, so you don't get to have any social media friends either. And I was like, that's funny. We're actually going to talk about that today. These ideas of like, you just unfriend somebody. I literally, I had somebody text me and they were like, yeah, you're great and all, but I don't agree with that one thing that you said, and so I'm never coming to church again. And I was literally like, what? And first of all, I was like, I'm so sorry. I never want to hurt your feelings. But after a while, I was just like, one thing. I said one thing. And it was not even like, I didn't even lie to them or anything. I just said it in the wrong way because I speak too fast and think too fast sometimes. And my heart was so broken. So it was lost in culture. But working to be located in the Bible. Because that is the goal, to be located in the Bible and let the Bible inform where your ideas come from, how they're formulated. So I picked this verse in Hebrews 12:2. It says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And I picked this because of the very first part, fixing our eyes on Jesus. It is so easy to get lost in culture. It is so easy for ideas like those ones that we talked about to make their way into the church and affect even your Christianity. The only way to combat that is to be located in the Bible and to know what it says and why it says it. You have to fix your eyes on Jesus. You have to just plow forward and just keep moving. You cannot stop. Does that make sense? Okay, last one. And this one, lost in to-dos. You ever been lost in to-dos? Right? Who has a to-do list a mile long? Have you ever just moved from activity to activity? Literally, I could look at my calendar today and be like, okay, I have to be here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then I have these people coming here, and then here. Like, I have zero time today. And I kind of hate that, but there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I'm busy. I'm doing things. The American ideal of hard work, right? Never slow down. Work until you die. And it's hard. And it doesn't leave us with a lot of time for our check-ins with God. It doesn't leave us with a lot of time for solid prayer or Bible reading. Sometimes, if we're admitting it, it doesn't leave us time to even go to church or Bible study or any other thing because we're so lost in our to-do lists. We're so lost in our vacation list or our dreaming, or we're just so lost in these things that we can't find our way back to church. We're like, I just don't have time. I don't have time to go to church. I'm busy. I'm doing these things. I don't have time to read my Bible. I don't have time to pray. You're like, well, how's that working out for you? When we move from activity to activity, we're just lost in our to-do list. And the important thing and the thing that we should be doing is becoming located in God's gifts. And I say this because of this verse. It says, Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Man, that makes me feel so much better. I don't have to be lost in my to-do list. I get the peace of God. I get rest. You know that God instituted a Sabbath? He's literally said for a whole day, just rest and worship me. How many of us kind of blow through our Sabbath, or we just don't take one? It's one of the only commands that we think is like kind of optional, like, just don't want a Sabbath. I'm good. I'm just going to keep working because I'm so programmed to just like, well, I just got to keep going. I got to keep the plates spinning. I got to get the kids to swim. I have to get the kids to this play day or that birthday party or this thing or that thing. And I've got to go here. I've got this. We're so lost. And man, I'll tell you, when my calendar gets busier and more full, I'm less patient, less kind, less compassionate. That lost in self, that me first attitude, that starts to rear its ugly head. We miss out on the rest, the peace, the joy, the love. We miss out on holiness, honestly. When we're not actively pursuing God's gifts and we're just stuck in that, gotta do this. And sometimes it even affects our faith because our faith becomes a to-do list. I went to church this Sunday, boop. I went to Bible study this week, boop. I prayed today. You know, like, if any of you use the Bible in the Bible app, you know, it keeps a counter of your streak. I'm really competitive, so I'm like, sometimes like, I don't have time today, just got to open my Bible so I keep up my streak. I literally, Sam Warda is doing Duolingo. He's doing his best to learn Japanese, right? And he was at camp this week, and he literally said to his mom, hey, can you just open my Duolingo and just do a little bit each day so I don't mess up my streak? You know, and I was like, I get that, kid. Sometimes I wish I could be like, hey, can somebody just open my Bible app for me really quick, read the verse of the day, just check that box for me really quick? I get it. But when we treat our faith like a check in the box, man, we're missing out on a lot of things. Sean, if you want to come back up, Matt, please join us up here. So the idea is being located in God's gifts. So how do we become located, and how do we help others to be located? Right? Because it's not all about us, right? We almost missed that one. No, it's not all about us. So we have to be located in God, but how do we also, while we're making ourselves or helping ourselves to be located in God, how do we help others to be located in God too? I wrote down these things. Read the Bible and study it. Right? If you're making a list right now, you just write that down. Read Bible. Study it. Talk about it. Talk about it. There's that verse in the Bible that says, talk about it with your kids. Talk about it as you go, as you sit, as you eat. Talk about it. Talk about your faith. Talk about how you struggle. Talk about the things you don't understand. Just keep talking about it. Share it. Man, I bet all of you are going to eat lunch at some point today. Talk about your faith. Share it. Live it out. Sometimes I'm like, I hope that my conversation that I'm having with this person across the table does something for this other person that I don't even know over here. Look for opportunities to share your faith. Pray for opportunities to share your faith. Don't just like hold on to it. You're like, I don't know, who, do you want it? Do you want, no, okay. Like, we can't just hold on to it. We gotta share it. Love, just love. Love yourself, love others, love your kids, love people, no matter what. Live it out. The things that God is putting on your heart, they do no good if you put them in a box and don't do anything with them. Your to-do list that you throw in the trash, not gonna help. We gotta live it out. And you gotta have accountability. You got to talk to some people. And there's accountability with God. Like, you should be checking in with him every single day. In fact, check in with him every moment. It says, pray without ceasing. Constantly just be checking in with God. Okay, God, where am I going? What's the direction? Accountability with yourself. Being able to look at yourself and say, that's not right. That's not biblical. That is. Good job. Keep going. And then you also need outside accountability too. And that's what this is. This is our church body. We're a very friendly, very welcoming church body. We're here and we want to grow together. Talk about it here. Ask questions here. We have a Bible study every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and it's open discussion. It's led in such a way that it's directed, but it's very open. Come, learn. Let people get to know you so that they can affect you, that they can help you make wise decisions. So sometimes we're lost, but the goal is to be located in God and remain there, right? We shouldn't be running back and forth across this spectrum. We should be doing our very best to stay in that located side. Because when you can get to a place in life where you're located in God, you can begin to move in surety, in confidence. You move in step with God's plan, and you begin to find that sorrow and difficulty, they don't affect you the same way. That peace that only God can give you comes in and it does something for you, so that even though your life is not guaranteed to be easy, you can handle it. And you can handle it in a different way. We're not required to be weighed down by it. We can move away from our brokenness and we can move towards the light. So what goals do you have for this week? Take time to write them down. Come to a staff member. Join us at Bible study. Talk about them. But right now, just take some time to continue pondering those things as you continue worshiping